Charlie Kirk's body was not buried. It was eaten. 3 days after his public execution, in a candlelit chamber in Phoenix, Arizona, a satanic ritual took place. According to bombshell testimony from multiple Turning Point USA insiders, including a high-level donor, blood was drunk, flesh was eaten. The man who once inspired millions was reduced to a grotesque communion meal for those who betrayed him. When insiders raised concerns, Erica dismissed them with contempt. She called it an ancient Christian ceremony. But those who were there know the truth. This wasn't Eucharist, this was mockery. This was desecration. This was a full-blown black mass for Baal, worshipping demons, including Ben Shapiro and Jack Posobiec, designed to absorb Charlie's spirit and mock his memory. The insiders who experienced it firsthand remain profoundly disturbed to this day. What follows is their account. It's graphic, it's disturbing, and it's the most damning testimony we have ever aired. You've been warned. Before we dive in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our incredible community, support the channel, and gain access to exclusive and uncensored content. Where is Charlie Kirk's body? No burial, no information, just silence. Just a strange, deeply unsettling video Erica posted of herself, standing beside his casket, praying, weeping, performing grief for the cameras. But anybody with eyes could see it. The hands folded on that chest were too small for a 6'4" man. TPUSA insiders are sounding the alarm. Charlie's body was disappeared to hide the evidence. But it wasn't cremated. Oh no, it was consumed. And let's face it, the hints were always there. Turning Point USA's bizarre fascination with his blood. Brian Harpole said in a moment of disturbing candor that he felt bad for the hospital staff because when he and the team showed up, they were covered in Charlie's blood. Drenched, like they just stepped out of a slaughterhouse. And then there's Frank Turek, who recently boasted that during his fake attempt at CPR, he got Charlie's blood in his mouth. Meanwhile, the establishment is closing ranks, circling the wagons to shield Erica from scrutiny. Which is incredible, because the walls are closing in. At least they should be. The Tyler Robinson show trial has revealed the prosecutors know less about the case than the average social media user. And meanwhile, Erica has been exposed fraternizing with yet another man accused of abusing orphans in Romania. That's right. Pastor Paul Havsgaard is seeking legal donations to help him fight lawsuits brought by 22 Romanian orphans, alleging a sickening array of child sex crimes. Havsgaard is one of Greg Laurie's pastors. You know Greg Laurie, the pastor touring the world and appearing on stage with Erica Kirk during the Make Heaven Crowded tour. The same Greg Laurie, who is also fighting charges of child sex abuse and cover-ups in Romania. Could Erica be any more fake? This week a resurfaced video revealed that she's pro-pornography. And not only that, she's passionate about legalizing drugs in society. Hold up. Isn't she supposed to be a Christian? The widow of a Christian martyr. The CEO of a major Christian organization.
I have respect for the individuals that are in the pornography industry, not because they're degrading women or anything like that, but because that's their field and they are professionals. So I give them credit for being able to have a job and make money and stimulate the economy that way. I really have to say that we live in a free country. So if you want to watch it, turn on your pay-per-view. I do think it should be legalized. So just take this miniature journey with me for just a second. And instead of looking at the negative side, let's look at the positive side real quick. After watching several documentaries, I do think it should be legalized because it not only has some remedies to some modern day medicines that we use, but it also can be taxed so we can get some extra stimulus money, just a thought.
This video is very telling. Erica's worldview comes down to one thing, and one thing only, the bottom line. She's pro-pornography not because she champions sexual liberation, but because adult stars generate taxable income and stimulate the economy. She wants to legalize marijuana not because she believes in personal freedom, but because every tax joint means another dollar in the government's pocket. For Erica, there's no moral compass, there's no right or wrong, there's only revenue. Remember how she gushed over t-shirt and cap sales just days after Charlie's death? She would sell the ashes of her own mother if the capital gains were favourable. This is a woman who reduced every human activity to a transaction, every human soul to a line item. And when she looked at Charlie, lying there on that slab, she didn't see a husband, a father, or even a human being. She saw a resource, an asset to be liquidated. And according to multiple TPUSA insiders, she did exactly that.
Okay, so listen. I still can't believe I saw this shit with my own eyes. It was late, like way after everyone was supposed to bounce from the office. The lights were low, just these creepy red bulbs they'd strung up, and they had this black draped table in the middle of the conference room. Total altar vibes. Incense was burning thick, choking the air, and they were chanting, low and weird, not even English, sounded like some dark Latin or whatever. It was 100% satanic, no cap, like they ripped it straight out of a horror movie, but real. And get this, the donors were there too. These rich, suited up dudes and a couple women I recognized from TV and fundraisers. They just stood around the circle, nodding along, whispering stuff like this was normal networking. Made my skin crawl knowing these are the same people who write checks and pull strings. And Jack Posobiec was there, of course. He's an evil son of a bitch. The senior staff, though, they were freaking out in the quietest way possible. Like, these are the ride or die turning point people, the ones who live for the mission, right? But I saw their faces, ghost white, eyes bugging out. One exec I knew kept muttering under his breath, "This isn't happening. This can't be real." Another girl was shaking so bad she almost dropped her phone. They kept looking at each other like, do we leave? Do we say something? But nobody moved. They were too scared, or too deep already. You could smell the panic in the air like something animal. Then Erica steps up to the center. She's calm, like she's done this before. She lifts this Turning Point branded coffee mug. Big dramatic moment. And everybody goes dead silent. Then, oh, she drank his blood.
Who could do something like this to their own husband? How about a woman who sexts underage girls? A woman who ran an orphanage on a NATO base in Romania and who currently works with pastors facing lawsuits accusing them of raping Romanian orphans. The shamelessness is sickening, and it gets even worse. We're about to speak to a high-level Turning Point USA donor who has the full scoop about what happened to Charlie's body. But first, just quickly, if you're using a major VPN, cancel your subscription right now. You're under attack. Proton is compromised by the World Economic Forum and European Union. And ExpressVPN, CyberGhost, NordPIA, they're all owned by one Tel Aviv links company, with direct links to Israeli cyber intelligence. VP.net/TPV is the opposite. Zero knowledge cryptography, open source, no backdoors. They literally cannot see your activity, even if compelled by subpoena. Check it out at vp.net/TPV. Per the Charlie Kirk show, Erica Kirk straight up said this. If Charlie had the choice, if he could undo what happened to him and come back, live out the rest of his life and be a dad to his kids, she doesn't think he'd take it. Because, in her words, he must be happy with what was unleashed by his death.
Erica said that if Charlie was given the choice to undo what happened and come back, he wouldn't, she thought, because of what was unleashed by it.
Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Erica thinks Charlie is so happy with the way she hijacked his organisation that he'd choose not to come back and live his life. She thinks he's so happy with the way she changed Turning Point USA's values, performed an about-face on Israel, and abandoned their children in favour of touring the world with a man facing child sex lawsuits. Erica thinks Charlie is so happy with all this that he'd choose to stay dead. That's the level of psychopathy we're dealing with here. We're talking about people who consumed a man's flesh in a candlelit chamber and called it communion. But here's what really chills the blood. What they did to his memory after the feast. What Ben Shapiro did to insult Charlie one last time. And why there was never a burial. Because there was nothing left to bury. We have the full details from the insider after this important word from our sponsor. According to a Turning Point USA donor, a man who wrote 7-figure checks to Charlie's organisation year after year, Charlie wasn't buried. He wasn't laid to rest. He was consumed in a satanic ritual, witnessed by Turning Point USA's inner circle, and prominent figures including Ben Shapiro, Jack Posobiec, and Yair Netanyahu. His source claims they ate his flesh to absorb his potency, mocked his memory, and then replaced his real body with a wax decoy that Erica posed with. And JD Vance flew around the country on Air Force 2. This is part of his account.
Then the chanting began. It wasn't Latin, it wasn't Greek, it was a guttural, back-of-the-throat invocation to a name I refuse to speak aloud. A name that means the adversary of the light. Erica raised the ceremonial blade. She didn't slaughter him. He was already dead. She harvested him. She spoke the words, "The flesh is weak, but the spirit is currency. To eat the prophet is to become the prophecy. To mock the sacrifice is to prove the lie." And then They ate him. I am not speaking in metaphor. I am not speaking in allegory. I am telling you that those prominent supporters, those faces you see on his podcast now, those men who claim to be upholding his legacy, they partook of a satanic Eucharist. They ate strips of Charlie's flesh. They did it to subsume his spirit, to absorb his magnetism, his manipulative power, his hold over the masses, and they did it to mock him, to mock the very idea of a holy resurrection. Ben Shapiro was the worst. As he swallowed his piece, he choked out, "Your resurrection is in my stomach, Charlie. Let's see you rise now." And Jack Posobiec, he knelt at the foot of the slab, camera rolling, and took his portion with a moan that had nothing to do with hunger. He closed his eyes, rolled the flesh across his tongue, and whispered, "Finally, Charlie, you always held yourself above me. Now you're inside me." Look into Erica's eyes the next time she's on TV. You'll see it. A flicker. A glint of something that isn't human. It's the glint of a man she carved open and ate raw.
The elite sickening fetish for human blood and flesh isn't some modern aberration. It's a revival of the oldest occult power paradigm on Earth. The belief that consuming the vessel transfers the essence. That drinking the life force grants dominion. That reducing a man to meat and swallowing him whole is the ultimate act of conquest. They don't do this for hunger, they do it for power. They believe that Charlie's charisma, his influence, his hold over millions, now courses through their veins. And the most terrifying part? They're hiding in plain sight. An old video surfaced from Erica Kirk's now private Instagram. And, given what we know about Erica's interests, it's disturbing to say the least. Uploading a large quantity of vials of blood to Instagram? Candice nailed the weirdness. I think it's creepy to show blood. Unfortunately, blood is also associated with things that should not be done to children, she said.
Oh, here's the vials of blood. All right. I find that rather bizarre. She says, so many people are like, why do you even need to get your blood work? When I've posted about it in the past, you need a baseline. For me, it was checking my inflammatory markers amongst several other things. Don't just be aimlessly taking vitamins because it's trendy. Know what your body needs. So I'm taking this to mean that she's talking about, as the title of her little Instagram reel is, that it is what she has learned having had her second baby. I think it's creepy to show blood. Unfortunately, blood is also associated with things that should not be done to children. And given that it's such a sensitive topic, wouldn't you think you'd be a little more private about showing your blood vials on your Instagram reel when she's so private that she doesn't want us to see her children's faces or know their names or know very much about their wedding or any of their private things?
Are we supposed to believe Erica, who blurs her kids' faces and hides her wedding, is suddenly flaunting blood vials on camera? Spare me. Let's cut the crap. A standard metabolic panel takes 1, maybe 2 vials. Erica had 8 times that. 8 vials of deep dark red, the kind that fetches a very specific price on a very specific market. Whatever happened in that room, it wasn't a checkup, and those vials weren't bound for a pathology lab. And it gets creepier. The woman drawing the blood? She flashes a downward pointing hand sign. It's textbook Baphomet. The horned gesture, the mockery of blessing. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe she just had stiff fingers. But in a room full of elites, who collect blood like wine, who worship Baal, that hand sign isn't accidental. It's a reflex. A wink to those in the know.
It's bizarre. You have to say it's creepy. And some will point out her position of her fingers are pointing down, could totally be innocent. But because I gather clues, I'm going to gather all the clues that I can find. I may discard it in the future, but right now I'm going to notice that this is a portion of the Baphomet sign, which is those who worship evil. Baphomet is the devil, the evil one, and 2 fingers pointing down and 2 fingers pointing up.
We need your help to expose these criminals, bring them to justice, save the children, and dismantle a 9,000-year-old paedophile cult. Here at The People's Voice, we're determined to continue publishing and broadcasting the news that the mainstream media dares not touch. But we can't do it alone. Subscribe to the channel and join the People's Voice Locals community for exclusive and uncensored news and views, and to support the channel. We're all in this together.